So basically, we're going to be repeating the general stuff, but we just want to clarify it a bit more in terms of the problem we're trying to solve. All right, so I'm going to step through in terms of the problem we're trying to solve. So now imagine you are Alex. So Alex is someone recently has been renting places for the last 3 years while they study in universities, and recently he needs to move to different places. So now he needs to find a new place to rent. But the problem he's facing, there's a lot of problems actually he's facing at the moment. So he's have limited time to find a suitable property for him to rent. The limited option in the market as well, because there's too many different kinds of platforms trying to find those things, and is unable to rent the property as a whole because probably you just need one room out of the whole property. And also there's a lack of transparency during the application as well. So sometimes I send my applications, but I don't know what happens next. Okay, so now imagine you are Ben. So Ben is a landlord or property owner. So in that case, he's working as a bank executive. He recently invested in 3 apartments in CBD, and usually regarding the rental, he deals with that through agents. The problem is that why he need agents? Because it's a complicated process for them to self-manage the property. They have to deal with that with agents, and the high agency fee you have to pay for that. And the reason why you want to use agents is because you want to reduce the risk of property vacancies and also the risk of a tenant default. So what we are seeing in the market is actually there's pain points coming from 2 parts of the market. So that's a tenant, where they have the limited options and time, and also the non-transparency on the application process. Also, we have the property owners, where there's a high agency fee and lengthy process as well to go through. So what we think is using blockchain that could resolve this kind of issue. So introducing YouFood. So YouFood is the one-stop property rental platforms. What YouFood is trying to do is utilizing the blockchain and smart contract technology to actually simplify the rental process, reduce the risk of the vacancy and for landlords and also for landlords mainly, and also provide transparency for the rental application process. So in terms of the actual solution we're trying to build, so first of all, it allows you to list your properties. So we're using the property come from blockchain, the immutability. So basically, you can list your property there. Once it's listed, it's always listed. And then it's easier for the landlord to actually manage how you want to list it out. It could be listings as a whole, or it could be listings maybe by rooms as well. Also, we want to increase this kind of an open and also transparent bidding system as well. So previously, we don't know how much have other sort of tenant has offered when doing the applications. So by using this open bidding system, so it's easier for you to understand, okay, the reason I'm not getting is because my offer is low, then I can increase. So it's easier for you to detect how much I need to do, how much I need to increase. And also you can put other information in terms of when you want to move in, and those dates could be then used into your smart contracting as well. Also, we're utilizing the functionality. So once we can do a one-click listing synchronization. So once you have the property in YouFood, that can be also, this kind of information can be broadcast into different kinds of rental platforms. So it's easier for your property to be discovered. So using the smart contract property of the blockchain, so basically we can automatically create a rental contract based on the information coming from the properties. Okay, yeah, all right. Just block me. But anyway, so the smart contracting can automatically using the property details that you have provided, and then also you can include other things such as the rental payments that's been agreed through the bidding system. Also, we're doing other sort of incentives for tenants. For instance, whether you want to do subleasing, whether, for instance, the other issue that we're facing for the landlord is because usually the agent does not have enough time to do the inspections. So it's good to actually incentivize the tenants to actually do the inspections. So by doing that, they can actually earn points as well. So there's more incentivized actually to help the property to be rented out eventually. So to refer to DK's most favorite questions, why I want to use blockchains, I guess the key thing we're trying to do is the immutability. So we can create a credit report based on how the tenant is performing, for instance, whether they're damaging any sort of properties and whether they have been default before or missing payments before. So all those information can be captured, and we can use that to create a credit report. So that means when the landlord is verifying different kinds of tenants, they can understand, okay, why I need to rent to this specific tenant. And also for property listing as well, once it's listed, it's always listed that one. Also, regarding smart contract, I think that's very easy to understand. So basically, automatic payments coming through the smart contracting the property from there, and also we can create different kinds of incentives for the tenants to improve. So looking at the visions, so just give you sort of the numbers that are coming from the internet. At the moment in Australia, there's 7 million renters, but in USA we have 112 million, and in China we have 168 million. So the good thing is in all three markets, the numbers of people actually renting in the market is actually increasing. So China is expected to increase to more than 200 million in the next decade. So we can see there's a huge demand for something like this in the future. So that's why we strongly believe Yuhu is the future for property rental. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Well, it seems to me,
Speak up.
it seems to me that the vision that you talked about doesn't really use the blockchain, especially it seems illogical to me in saying using blockchain and increase the chance of the property being rented. Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so I think by you say being rented out, what we're trying to say is currently one of the issues that why they have the vacancy is because there's a limited amount of inspections that's happening. But in the meantime, the tenant is not incentivized actually to do those inspections. So by using blockchain, by creating these coins for rental, then the tenants are actually incentivized them to do the inspections themselves. So by having more inspections for each property, it's likely to see this property to be rented out much quicker than waiting in the market for potentially 2 weeks or something like that. Because at the moment, relatively speaking, all the property might have to wait for about 2 weeks before we rent it out, and that's a lot of cost to a landlord. So by increase the sort of amount of inspections, we're likely to see the reduction of time of vacancy for the specific property.
Do you have any evidence for that?
In terms of the application of actually working?
Ways to reduce vacancy in other markets where they don't testify
using
not by using coins, but
yeah.
other promotional means.
So I haven't seen those yet. I haven't seen where people have implemented sort of methods.
You can do a survey.
Yep. So basically the survey to check whether the tenant would be interested to do anything like this and to get income.
Just to help your pitch,
Yep.
we surveyed 200 tenants. We make sure they got pizza after this, and to make sure they get an answer, but this is what we did.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So basically, for instance, as you say, using visa, if you do the inspection, we give you a piece or something, and see when the tenant will do that.
Well, for the survey or for the inspection. So I'm not sure how to incentivize it, but you don't want to cause a perverse reality to be the outcome. But you can do this, in the test market, and if you find the data works, then you would have a coin incentive. Yeah.
Exactly what you said. One of the big problems with most of the token things I see is that no one has actually tested token economics. And that's what Leon's saying, that in the sort of lead startup world, you go out and you test it.
Yep.
And
that's with another incentive, and then they want to use coin economics instead of each of the coins.
Yeah. I think that makes perfect sense. So basically, currently our hypothesis is saying by giving the tenants incentives, they will likely to actually organize those inspections. But as you said, yes, there's some sort of experiment we can try that out and see if that works. If it works, then that means this will work as well.
It's a good story, but at the moment it doesn't have any evidence.
Yes,
So
that's right.
Even if it's a ratty, like grocery route or something that you get a response on, you got to test your hypothesis.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And thank you very much for
And
that.
also, at this gentleman's point, though, what is it that the blockchain has?
Yeah. So going back to Dick's favorite question, what blockchain? Yeah. Because initially I was thinking it's more about the smart contracting paying, as in it can automatic payments, and there's a lot of different sort of terms you can put into that as well. So that means you reduce the requirements to have another agent to actually monitor and to make sure the contract has been executed. So I think for us, that's definitely a strong way of using blockchain. The other thing is the immutability of the personal records, how they're doing in terms of what they're doing with tenanting. Because at the moment, there's something called like a blacklist that's managed by different kind of agents that actually know how bad or how good you perform as a tenant. So we want to say, okay, at the moment, this blacklist is not transparent to all people. So it's good to have some sort of an open system to capture this kind of information, and people can use those information for their own good as well. And they know this information is not tainted by, agents' sort of ideas and opinions as well.
What also strikes me is this: what the ICO or the token deposits I see, in the end, the value comes down to the fact that the individual controls their information, or they can control the transaction via a smart contract. In other words, something happens because they've agreed to it.
Yep.
I lost $2 million